Welcome, I'm Inka Bartoshova. In this video, I'll be walking you through some tips in relation to the monitoring, evaluation, accountability and learning framework of the DEAR program, in short, the MEAL framework. We recommend you to read at least these parts of the DEAR guide for project implementers. The guide is available on europe.eu/capacity4dev/DEAR.
Before we explore the DEAR indicators, let's review the DEAR engagement pyramid. The engagement pyramid helps organizations understand how to monitor people's engagement in DEAR projects. Let's see together the different levels of possible engagement. Your activities will reach a wide base of people. They may pass by your billboards or street events or note an article in the media. They don't have to be proactive at this level. Some people whom you reach out would become aware of your messages, course, or your project. We call them the spectators. Their engagement is erratic. They may visit a project website, Facebook page, or access a report. Some of those get interested and want to follow us on social media or sign up to our newsletter. They may also attend an open public event, but do not commit further. Only some of those interested actually engage. Supporters may sign a petition, share your posts on social media, attend a session. They may even have changed some of their habits, purchased fair trade products, taken conscious decisions to decrease their carbon footprints, etc. Activists are really committed. They may participate in a series of events and actively contribute to them. They try out project ideas or resources, publicly support your cause, and change their behaviors in different ways. Multipliers, such as trained teachers, youth leaders, or policymakers, promote the project and its ideas to others, like co-workers, students, family, friends, or local community. Finally, innovators develop and implement new ideas to promote the cause of the project. Core DEAR indicators that monitor the success of the DEAR projects focus on the engagement level from level 2 upwards. This means that we count people who have been proactive, at least to some extent, in relation to your project. Let's now dive into the DEAR indicators. Before you start developing your project indicators, clarify your result chain first, from objectives to outcomes and to outputs. Then you are ready to select a few key indicators. There are contextual, core, and project-specific indicators. Core indicators are compulsory for you, while you're free to develop project-specific indicators to capture the project uniqueness. To mention some examples, imagine your project aims to engage people on the issue of climate change. A contextual factor can be the number and percentage of EU citizens who consider themselves responsible for tackling climate change. Such an indicator can help you tailor your project and focus, for example, on most skeptical groups of people. You can look at Annex B4 of the guide for more tips. One of the 7 core DEAR indicators that we will explore in the next chapter of this video is the number of multipliers who engage more with others on climate change in our example. See the guide, chapter 2.4, and the step-by-step guide in Annex A.2. Finally, with your project partners, You monitor which messages, formats, or channels engage people the most, and then you tailor your campaign accordingly. This would be your project-specific indicator. Our examples are in Annex B5. Let's review all the DEAR core indicators as they are mandatory for all new projects. There are 7 of them. But if you do not target schools, you simply report 0 under output 2, for instance. See step-by-step guide in the Annex 8.2 of the meal guide for detailed instructions. Let's have a look at how core indicators help you build your story, which can be reported in relation to your specific and overall objectives. As an example, let's take the shoe industry. Maybe you have run a campaign on working conditions, so the following 6 core indicators are relevant for you. They help you add evidence to your story, even though the reality is much more complex. So in our example, and please note the numbers are illustrative, around 85,000 people signed a petition to European companies, asking them to improve working conditions among their suppliers. At the same time, 20 activists from 10 organizations held trainings for 700 workers in 14 factories about their rights. Finally, 5 EU companies adjusted their standards. Some of them helped negotiate changes in working conditions in their factories, such as pay rise or protective environment. So we have evidence that at least one factory implemented the proposed changes to some extent. In the long term, in line with the overall objective, 3,000 workers directly benefited from these changes. The evaluation confirmed a significant project contribution to these changes, so this story can be reported on the overall objective level. Beside the core DEAR indicators, you are free to choose your project-specific indicator. As an example, let's develop together some indicators for a project that focuses on climate change in formal education. In our sample project, we want to train teachers on climate change. As an intermediary outcome, we want them to apply what we teach them in their didactics. Our specific objective is that climate change and learner-centered methodologies are more integrated in the school curriculum. On the practical level, we hope that their students will have a critical understanding of climate change and act more at local to global levels. You may think of many different indicators. We recommend choosing a few quantitative and qualitative ones that help you make decisions, draw key lessons learned, or strengthen advocacy. On the output level, we can check how many teachers are able to explain the main causes of climate change before and after our workshops. We may be also interested if they have any specific plans to incorporate what they have learned from our lessons. If they do not have any plans, we can discuss further support, or we may need to actually change the workshop design. Then we can monitor how many teachers started applying what they have learned and compare this number to the number of teachers trained. If the percentage is too low, we might need to change the way we support them. For example, we may introduce mentoring. Finally, to monitor this specific objective, we have 2 examples of indicators. First, we can ask teachers to conduct an activity through which they can monitor how many students are able to name at least 3 impacts of climate change. Then, we can monitor how many students act more on climate change. We can disaggregate the data by school, gender, or type of action. The evaluation can help us find out what factors played a role in these changes. I've already touched upon the key steps that would form your monitoring plan. See the Dear Guide, chapter B.5 for an example.